The regular meeting of the Governing Board of Education is called to order by myself, Barbara Broche, at 8:19 a.m. on Tuesday, October 19th, 2021, and is being broadcast to the public via YouTube under the authority of the Governor's Executive Order number N-29-20 and approved Assembly Bill 361. The board and cabinet members are participating via video conference. A recording of this meeting is being made. I will take a motion in a second to approve the agenda.
Moved.
Mrs. Broche, I'd like to suggest that we modify the agenda today. I think inadvertently, since our last meeting was a special meeting, some items that are part of our regular agenda were left off. So I'd like to move that we modify the agenda today to include a negotiations update, board comments, and superintendent comments following our action items.
Thank you, Mrs. Hinkson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Schwartz. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 4-0. I want to thank everyone for joining us this morning. We have moved our meeting from our regular scheduled time to 8 a.m. to accommodate two board members that had previous engagements this evening and wouldn't be able to make it. And we are missing one board member until we fill the seat. So I know this is out of the ordinary, and I appreciate everyone's patience while we do this to get our business taken care of. We'll now move into the open session of our board meeting, as we do not have a closed session today. In attendance, we have myself, Barbara Broche, Mrs. Sandy Hinkson, Mr. Stephen Schwartz, and Mr. Adam Skimowitz. We have the secretary to the board, Dr. Jody McClay, our superintendent, Mrs. Nicole Lash, assistant superintendent, business support services, Dr. Karen Valdez, assistant superintendent, educational support services, Mr. Frank Arce, assistant superintendent, human resources development, Mrs. Kimberly Velez, assistant superintendent, student support services, and Mrs. Sue O'Connell, executive assistant to the superintendent. Mr. Schwartz, will you lead us on the Pledge of Allegiance now?
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the
to the
republic
republic
for which it
for which it
stands,
stands,
one
a
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
with
liberty and justice for all.
for all. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry,
Now
I'm the closed captioner. Can you have the host assign me to write closed captioning?
Yes. Mrs. O'Connell, did you hear the request from our closed captioner?
I got it now.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wait, no, they didn't assign me. They assigned somebody else.
Okay, we are live.
Mrs. O'Connell, we have a request from the closed captioner.
Thank you. I will take care of that.
Thank you. Now is the time for our public comments. The governing board welcomes public comments. This is the time for open session public comments. Instructions were provided on the district website and in the meeting agenda for any person wishing to make a public comment. Public comments are allowed up to a maximum of 3 minutes per comment in the order received, to a maximum total time of 30 minutes per item for comments on agenda items or non-agenda items. For consent agenda items, topics, a limit of 3 minutes total be allowed from one speaker. Public comments were read verbatim exactly submitted by the public with no changes or corrections. Unless the items have been placed on the published agenda in accordance with the Brown Act, there should be no action taken. No discussion will be made regarding personnel issues in open session. All public comments are an important part of the board meeting and are given careful consideration by the governing board. Mrs. O'Connell, will you please start our public comments?
Thank you. Our public comments will start now.
First public comment. Hello, I have not heard anything about medical and/or religious exemptions from the mandate beginning in January. Will you be accepting exemptions? We need to know. Thank you, Tabitha Lanusa. End of comment. Next public comment. Good evening. I'm reading this email in regard to the mandated vaccination requirement for the school kids in California for K-12. I'm a former nurse and I'm absolutely against forcing us to vaccinate our children with a vaccine we still don't know much about. I personally got the vaccine and I am also high risk with multiple medical issues. I am not an anti-vaxxer, but I do believe everyone should have the right to determine what is best for themselves or their children. My son is also a SPED kid, and I refuse to give my son the vaccination and will be forced to homeschool or probably move out of state, which will be the likely decision. Our kids have already been affected enough by COVID mentally, and in my son's case, getting way behind academically, and the schools being shut down for 1.5 years. The last thing we need is for a mandate of a vaccine that is not fully studied. Not to mention, it is extremely rare for children in the younger age group to have severe side effects from COVID or to end up dead. Please chose to not allow this unconstitutional decision and allow people to make their own decision. Sincerely, Katie. End of comment. Next public comment. Good evening. My name is Fertatius, and I'm a teacher here at TVUSD and a union site representative for TVEA. I want to speak on behalf of TVEA's drive for fair and competitive pay and the retention of quality educators in the district. At the last board meeting, I was surprised by comments made regarding compensation. Mr. Lohner, who has since resigned, stated, "I don't get extra compensation for doing my job. That's not to say it isn't deserved. It's just what I signed up to do." I want to clarify that Mr. Lohner was backed by TVEA and voted into his second paid public service position. He signed up to be a voice for the public servants, educating the youth of this community. And had he not resigned, members had already expressed their plan not to re-elect him because of his poor representation. To hear an elected board member dismiss our efforts is disheartening. We educators have had to take time out of our non-contractual hours to teach ourselves how to use new learning management systems. We have been and continue to care for students' social, emotional well-being. We have had to teach students how to write an email, learn basic computer functions, and show parents how to monitor their children's progress. We've had to care for ourselves and our loved ones because we are still in a pandemic, and maybe teach a little bit of curriculum after playing IT specialists. Meanwhile, you all, the board, voted to give yourselves a 5% increase in pay for the cost of living. But the driving force of this district, the teachers, shouldn't be afforded that same courtesy. Teachers are not asking for a handout. We want the cost of living adjustments we are due. The price of gas is nearly $5 a gallon, and the cost of groceries has increased. Internet service providers are charging more of their customers to supplement disadvantaged families, so our at-promise students can still have remote access to class lessons when they are quarantined. But I guess we teachers should make a Canvas page and create a few modules to fill our tanks and fridges. Maybe someone on the board can share their screen on Zoom and send our students their Wi-Fi information so the teachers can continue to work for the insulting amount of compensation we've been getting compared to our neighboring districts. Like Jeff Kingsburg said, none of us went into education to become wealthy. We have a passion for teaching and helping our students thrive, but we won't stay where we are, not appreciated, and we won't stand by quietly while we get railroaded. Our hard work will not be minimalized. Thank you. End of comment. Next public comment. I want to vocalize my opposition to the state mandates that are going into effect. I want our Temecula district to know that while I won't participate in a walkout and have my children miss their lessons, the medical freedom to choose whether my child gets a COVID vaccine is very important to me and many others. Respectfully, Tammy. End of comment. Next public comment. Dear school board members, thank you for taking the time to read my board meeting comment below, and thank you for all the important work you do to make TVUSD a great place for our kids. The K-12 COVID-19 vaccine mandate is a violation of human rights. There can be no rational basis to mandate a vaccine that does not significantly reduce or stop transmission. The survival rate of this demographic is 99.99% plus. I ask that TVUSD respect parents' rights and join the local community in opposition to the unlawful and unconstitutional government of California mandates on mask wearing and COVID-19 vaccination. Please be a leader for the other school districts, state, and nationwide, and protect our children and everyone's freedom. Sincerely, concerned parent of 2, Alamos Elementary School. End of comment. Next and last public comment. All. The current political climate makes it challenging to find pragmatic solutions when all sides refuse to consider other ways of approaching a problem but their own. One would hope that facts might help keep the discussion rational. Sadly, facts are often twisted to benefit one side's argument. Nonetheless, here are facts from the CDC based on which I would request the TVUSD not enforce the governor's vaccine mandate. 10 per million kids die from COVID. 67 per million kids have serious adverse reaction to the vaccine. 13 per million kids have lasting serious side effects from the vaccine. These numbers do not support a positive risk-benefit ratio. In addition, a recent study in Israel based on 680,000 vaccinated people and 60,000 people previously infected with COVID showed that people who have recovered from COVID are 13 times less likely to be reinfected than people who are vaccinated, and 27 times less likely to be hospitalized than the vaccinated. Yet the strength of natural immunity continues to be ignored. Close parentheses, https://pubmed.ncbi.nlm.nih.gov/3371898/ close parentheses. That said, vaccines have been shown to reduce the severity of infections for the at-risk population and are generally a safer alternative to getting COVID for those people. Recognizing that some parents remain concerned about the health risk of COVID, while other parents are concerned about the health risk of the vaccine, I would suggest that students and staff be divided into classes by their vaccine preference until herd immunity is reached, allowing students from both sides to find fulfillment in their public schooling experience. Not finding a way to coexist will lead to a mass exodus of students from the public school system, resulting in significant loss of income to the school district, representing more than $12K per year per student, which will translate into reduced staffing and building closures. It only takes about 15% of parents to unenroll their kids from TVUSD to lose all gains from the $1,600 per student promised to schools that enforce the vaccine mandate. It is unfortunate that after an 18-month lockdown, we cannot find reassurance in the fact that children under 18 years old are not significantly affected by the COVID illness, nor are they a significant vector of transmission, that those who have recovered from COVID develop lasting immunity, and that there is a safe option through vaccination for those who choose that route. The Temecula Valley has developed into a great family-oriented community that follows old traditions while enabling new opportunities, or so the sign says. It would be a shame to not consider the wants and needs of the families that make up the community who actively and financially—
3-minute time is up. Thank you.
Okay. That's the end of the written public comments.
And we do have one live comment.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can
Hi,
hear
you
you.
can go ahead and start.
Okay. Hi, this is a personal request that I would like to make to the board regarding the COVID test I'm being asked to complete. First of all, I appreciate your efforts in trying to navigate the countless modifications that you've had to make over the past 18 months. In particular, I'm grateful to Superintendent Jody McClay for her efforts in managing the day-to-day activities and the approval of my medical exemption from the vaccine and not having the swab test for the virus. I ask that you please reconsider not paying for my spit test. My insurance will not cover this expense, which will be repeated weekly. I continue to work only 1 day a week because of having to tend to my daughter, Juliana, who will be 9 years old next week. At the age of 3, she was diagnosed with a Wilms tumor. After having her kidney removed along with the tumor, she endured months of chemo. Thankfully, she remains in remission, but the toll on her and on me has been most significant. We have had expenses beyond the norm and must closely control any additional ones. In addition, I was told this morning by Deborah Gillick that I could go on unpaid leave if I don't like the district's decision. I was shocked and saddened, to say the least. My family very much needs the money that I make working the 1 day. After being with Temecula Valley Unified for 21 years, I thought I was valued more than that to be given such an ultimatum. Please, can you reconsider reversing your decision and cover the cost for my test in the event that my insurance does not? Thank you, Kara Garcia.
Thank you. Is that the end of public comments, Mrs. O'Connell?
Yes, that is the end of public comments.
Okay. We'll move on into our action items now. I call for a motion and a second to adopt the ESSER 3 expenditure plan.
Moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Skimowitz, seconded by
Second.
Mr. Schwartz. Does anyone have any questions on this? All in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries 4-0. We will now move into our board comments.
Should be negotiations update first.
Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the script and I was trying to remember what came first. Mr. Arce, would you like to give us a negotiation update?
Sure, President Brooks. I'll start with CSEA. The district and CSEA met on Tuesday, October 12th, for negotiations. During the session, we were able to come to a tentative agreement on Article 8, which is transfer and filling of vacancies, and Article 16, which is evaluations. And this was mostly related to new legal definitions for classified probationary period. We also presented CSEA with a counter proposal for Article 6, which is compensation and benefits, which CSEA reviewed, and they will have a counter for us at our next session, which was scheduled for Tuesday, November 16th. With TVA, the district is scheduled to participate in a joint ad hoc budget committee meeting with them later today. During the meeting, we hope to reach consensus regarding a recommendation for compensation to the association and district negotiations teams. Our next full negotiation sessions with TVA will take place this Thursday, October 21st. That's it for me, President Broach. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Schwartz, did you have any board comments today?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, yes, I had the pleasure of, along with the superintendent yesterday, of visiting Red Hawk Elementary and Temecula Luceño Elementary. I want to congratulate Jonah Greer and the staff at Red Hawk Elementary for being recognized as a national blue ribbon school. It was just great going there, seeing how active the children are in learning and their activities, how dedicated the staff is in working with the children, and the school itself is just a joy to visit. I also visited Temecula Luceño. I want to thank Principal Lanny Russo for showing us around, and also thank their wonderful staff for the job that they do there with the children. Just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And today I get the pleasure of visiting Vail Ranch Middle School for their monthly Student of the Month extravaganza. I get to sit with the children, have lunch, help serve them lunch, and have a chat with them and the teachers. Just probably the best part of being on the board is experiencing the wonderful things that are going on in our schools, despite the struggles of COVID, despite all the difficulties that everyone is going through. Just to see the dedication and the marvelous work that goes on is really a joy. And I thank the staff, the students, and their parents for everything they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Skimowitz?
Yeah, just thank you guys for the flexibility. I know I was one of the ones that had a bit of a scheduling conflict today, so thanks for being flexible. And I'm looking forward to a couple of site visits with Dr. McClay next week. And then I guess we'll get back to everything in our next board meeting. I said it in our last meeting, as we kind of move through the appointment process, if there are people trying to better understand the role of a board member, I guess the responsibilities, the time commitment, you can feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to kind of walk you through some of the specifics, because it seems pretty consistently that the reality of what it is doesn't typically match what people assume or expect. So I think before getting into that, it'd be good to understand as much as possible. So feel free to reach out. That's all from me, Mrs. Broche.
Thank you. Mrs. Hinkson.
Yeah, I just have a couple things. Since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to sit on the superintendent's council. I think that for me, it was very enlightening to have an opportunity to hear from teachers what their experiences are as we go back to school this year, and just want to express my appreciation for all the challenges and all the work that's being done by teachers. Also, Mr. Schwartz and I are scheduled to do the eligibility for our applicants for the open board position. And then schedule the meeting to actually go through and do the interviews. So that work is underway right now. And thank you, Mr. Skumowitz, for making yourself available. I think it's a very important thing to understand what the role involves and what the requirements are on our time, and really what the job involves. So thank you for that. And just of course wanted to express one more time the appreciation for all the work that everybody has been doing, really for the last 18 months or more. It's been a challenge for every single employee here with all of their the requirements of the job, as well as your personal lives and everything. Has certainly been a challenging time for everyone. So, and thanks for the flexibility today too. We've had a lot going on, and some deadlines to meet. So thank you everybody for that. And I'll turn back to you, Mrs. Broche.
Thank you. Just a couple things. Also, I was able to go to the State of the City with our staff and Mr. Skimowitz, which was lovely. Temecula is a great place to live, and they showed amazing things that is right under our nose that we don't see, and also commented our school district, which complimented, which is really great, because I'm really proud to be a parent here and a product of here. I've had the opportunity to meet with quite a few parents in the past couple of weeks. Those have been great. I've appreciated the time to meet in person and have great conversations and get to a level of understanding and get through some misinformation and communication. So I really cannot stress enough that reaching out to the board members for clarification is always appreciated and welcomed. Last and certainly not least, I attended a volleyball game where one of the campus security, her name is Rosie, came over and gave me a hug and said, I know this is tough times, but we are Temecula and we're going to get through this. And I know how hard everyone's job is right now. And it brought tears to my eyes, because it was a moment where I know she's overworked and I know we're short-staffed, but she was so thoughtful to come over and empathize with me. We do great things on this board, and I'm very proud to be a board member, because I can look back over my past 3 years and see all these accomplishments and all of the things that people do, our teachers and our staff, from our nurses to our campus security to our bus drivers, to our teachers. You're truly appreciated. I don't want to go on and become emotional, but as a parent in the district, I see it. As a board member, I see it and hear it. And I'm sorry if you felt any other way, but completely appreciate it. So those are my comments. And Dr. McClay, you are up.
Thank you, Mrs. Broche. I'll be brief. I want to thank the board for coming together this morning quickly before work to do this one action item. So thank you for making that work. And then secondly, just a quick shout out to the Ed Services and the Assessment and Accountability team for all of their work coordinating this new ESSER plan that you approved this morning. So thank you to all of them as well. A lot went on behind the scenes to pull that off in a very short time frame established by the state. So thank you.
Okay, the next regular open session business meeting of the Governing Board of Education is scheduled for November 9th, 2021. The October 26th, 2021 special board workshop has been postponed as the topic is communications and marketing, and we have chosen to wait until we had a new PIO, Public Information Officer, on board to do this workshop. Staff will present information on the following agenda items for the meeting on November 9th, 2021, counseling, social workers, and SEL, foster youth data, quarterly Williams consent, superintendent progress report and closed session, AB 361, after school programs and basis data, and federal programs and review. That's going to be a big meeting for us. It's a lot of items. So I will now adjourn this meeting at 8:44 a.m. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.